Good morning, everyone. It's another beautiful Saturday morning, and we are here on Bold TV, your Saturday education and information program. Today, we are here to discuss another important topic, and we look forward to equipping you with information to help you navigate your disability journey. So, Bold TV is powered by Bold Hearts Network, and I'm here with my co-host to discuss this topic. Today we'll be talking about personal branding and how you can use it as a tool to change the disability narrative. We all know that as persons with disability, persons living with disability, that more often than not, the stereotypes surrounding, disability can be overwhelming and, can tend to influence or overshadow everything else. And people tend to see what they have been taught to see. So personal branding is, a way of changing that narrative and overcoming those stereotypes. This program is not sponsored specifically by any organization. We are open to donations, and we solicit for your partnership to support us and help us continue the good work that we do here. So please do well to reach out to any of us you can see on the screen. These are all the co-hosts, and we will get back to you on how you can be a partner with us. You're familiar with all of us here. We are your usual co-hosts. Each Saturday we come your way, so you know each and every one of us. Let's go straight into the discussion. So I'm going to start with the first and most obvious question. What is personal branding?
All right. Personal branding is the difference between individuals, things, or circumstances. So I'm going to use that definition because when we take human being, for instance, even though we all look alike, even though we are from probably the same mother, the same father, we have distinct features, distinct characteristics that define us as an individual. So that special trait that defines you as an individual, the moment you bring it out, you brush it up, you clean it, you put it out there as your strength, you put it out there probably as a marketing strategy, probably as, a kind of value system. It's personal branding. It means that you have distinct yourself from your peers, from your equals, from the same kind of bunch. And when we want to get a vivid instance, we have, for instance, a lot of soft drinks out there, a lot of carbonated drinks. But by their name, by their color, by their thickness, by the level of gas in each of them, by the taste, we're able to identify. So that's a brand. And so that also equates to humans, right from your value system, your attitude, the way you carry yourself, the way you talk to people, the way you attend to issues, the ability to differentiate yourself from your peers is what I will call personal branding.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much. Reki, please just add to that.
All right. Thank you very much, Afion. So with respect to your question, what is personal branding? I'll keep it short. I'll keep it sweet. To me, personal branding is the way you put yourself out there to the general public, what you represent, what you stand for. But on the other side, it is also what you are perceived to represent. Because you may be presenting yourself or thinking that you're presenting yourself, your brand, marketing yourself. It has everything to do with self-promotion, a person's branding. However, the world or society is perceiving you in another way. So it is how you present yourself. It is also how you are perceived by the public of what you stand for. Thank you.
Okay. Wow. Yes. Thank you very much, Tomisin. Thank you, Freki. Tomisin, you mentioned a few key words. If I got you right, you said something about values, your uniqueness, what makes you unique, what makes you stand out. And Freki, you talked about perception. perception, which is a key factor when it comes to personal branding. How you present yourself to the world and how the world sees you. They are two different things. So you must ensure that the image you present, what you stand for, what the everything that has to do with that encapsulates you as a person and how the world sees you, that there is, a synergy between those two. You cannot be presenting one thing and people are seeing a different thing. We'll go talk more on that, on how those two can merge as we go further in the discussion. All right, thank you very much. So, Osaki, I'm going to ask you now, when we talk about personal branding, we're talking about the individual, how the individual, is perceived. What are some of the negative labels and stereotypes that surround disability, especially for women and girls with disability, that often, the way people perceive women and girls with disability? What are those negative labels? Because branding is like labeling, the label you create. Personal branding is about the label you create. Now, what are those negative labels or stereotypes that how society perceives women and girls with disability?
All right, thank you very much, Afyong. What I would say now is one of them is they see women and girls with disability as not good enough, or what can this person offer? Not seeing the person's output or end result or product, but seeing the disability that I don't think there's anything good will come out of this person. And you just conclude without giving the person a trial or let the action give you the end result, but you just conclude with your misconception of the look of the person and say, no, I don't think she can do this. Like most times if I'm not on steering and someone says, where are you going to? And I say, okay, no, ask me, how are you going? I say, there's a car that will carry you. Like, you come with a driver? And I say, no. So if there's this, how is she going to drive? Can she drive? There is this, no way she cannot do it. So a lot of things run through their mind till I am found in steering and the car is moving. So it's like nothing good can come out of this. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Biose, do you want to add to that? What are some stereotypes?
Yes, one of the stereotypes they see as women with disability and young girls is that they see us as people who cannot think outside the box. We cannot do more than has been given to us by the society or family. And that is very bad, because most persons with women with disabilities, sometimes they feel that they are not educated, as if they can't be educated, they can't be taught. So yes, thank you.
All right. So to summarize what you and Osaki have said, Osaki has talked about, perceiving women with disabilities as weak, as having a lower capacity to function. And then you've also brought up the issue of, seeing them as ones who cannot think critically or who are not literate enough to understand complex issues and, deal with it. All right. Well, these are a few. And, to add to that, more often than not, women, by reason of their gender, are seen as not just the weaker sex in terms of physical strength, but they are seen as, generally as incapable of, making decisions for themselves. And so more often than not, in some societies or cultures, they're seen as people who need to be, just relegated to more menial or tasks or mundane tasks. Let the men do the thinking and do all the more complex things. So these are some of the things that, tend to, and when disability is now added to the mix, it makes it more difficult, because more women with disabilities are seen as even lower than, women without disabilities, as in, if as a woman, already she's a woman, so what more can she do? This one with disability, what the expectations are much lower. All right, so I'm going to move to the next question, and that is, what are the benefits of cultivating a personal brand? We've talked about what a personal brand is, what personal branding is. What are the benefits of cultivating a personal brand? Frankie, I'll start with you. What are the benefits of cultivating a personal brand? Why do we need to do that in light of what we've said?
Okay, thank you very much, Afil. I think it's even more important for us as women with disabilities to cultivate a personal brand, because automatically we are stamped by misconceptions. So it's like a person is not interested in content, but has taken the cover and or the container and run with it as the value of what is happening. So we need to, of essence, intentionally brand ourselves. And to break that down, what I'm saying is this: a woman with disabilities is seen in a specific light by the general public. So, in order for us to shape our branding, we must insist on the narrative that we want to put forth by representing ourselves in what we don't want to be called. So, a woman with disabilities sometimes is seen as fragile. And you know that your nature is not fragility. So, you may want to be able to present yourself in such a way that a person does not put you in a box and label you as fragile for the rest of your life, and therefore not considering you as a person first. So even more so, women with disabilities, when you think of the term women already, you know, the gender and the concerns that are there with inequalities, then you now look at disability and you look at the discrimination, you should know that personal branding is something that you shouldn't play with. Another reason or another benefit or another essential reason why personal branding is important is because of this. People presume that because you're a woman with disability or you're a person with disability, everything about you should be shrouded or be about disability, or not so. There are many persons with disabilities who are not necessarily in the play or in the area of things with respect to disability. They're experts in other fields. So sometimes it is very shocking to them when they see a person with disability who is not necessarily everything about disability, but for example, maybe the person is an IT engineer or the person is something else, you know. So there's this trying to grab it or understand it. So understand your brand, understand what you are about, and put it out there. Insist on that narrative. Insist on your personal brand. Thank you very much. And if you don't, you will be labeled by default as, you know, what some of the negative connotations that have been said earlier. Thanks.
Okay, so to reiterate what you have said, if you do not tell people how to see you, they will automatically find, you know, they will automatically draw their own conclusions about you. So you have to lead the narrative, and, you know, you have to be the one that will tell them, this is who I am, or else they will tell you who you are. Okay, Thomason, can you add to that?
One other benefit of cultivating a personal brand is you are relatable. So it means that when people are looking for specific talent, when people are looking for specific attitude, when people are looking for specific things, you are relatable. It's easy to say, okay, so for instance, let's take the issue of somebody that is sincere. Sincerity is a brand. Not everybody knows how to say yes. Not everybody knows how to say no. And so maybe I need somebody to be honest with me. I don't need somebody to be a crowd chaser or something. I know who to go to because I know that, oh, this person has branded his or herself as a sincere person. Somebody that will not see no and say, it's looking like maybe. So it means that you are relatable. People can relate. People can always, you know, distinct you and say, no. When you're talking about this particular thing, it is this person that you should, this is your go-to person. Another benefit that you as an individual who has branded yourself can also gain is that you will not be a crowd chaser. Because if you do not stand for something, you end up falling for every and anything. And so because you have stood for something, you have what your goals, your aims, your objectives. You will not just be following the crowd. Whether everybody moves right, you move right. If everybody moves left, you move left. No. So if you have decided to personally brand yourself, it means that you know what you stand for, and then you can always, you know, put out plans that will work around that thing that you stand for.
Okay. All right. So stand for something. In other words, you know, when you have a personal brand, people know exactly what you stand for. If you're not somebody who is, you know, somebody who does whatever they like, someone who doesn't have integrity, People will not come to you with certain issues. They will know this one. When it comes to this one, look, she won't even entertain it. So another thing I'd like to add to that is, especially for persons with disability, when you have a personal brand and you tell people how to see you and how to address you and how to perceive you, it will draw the attention away from your disability. People will not focus so much on the disability. We tend to feel frustrated when everything, when people talk to us or address us, is always about, oh, is it doing you like this? How are you feeling? Oh, sorry, or this. It can be frustrating because maybe you're trying to pass across an important message and all the person is focused on is, how your leg is crooked, or how, if you have a personal brand where you're always presenting yourself a certain way, from the way you dress to the way you talk to the way you address and handle issues, people will not focus so much on what kind of disability you have or if you're capable. People will not question your capacity. They'll be more focused on this person is capable of this. They know you to be able, let me give a very vivid example. In my place of work, when it comes to, carrying out work, doing work a certain way, more often than not, there are certain kinds of assignments that can be given to me because they know that when it comes to me, I'm someone who is meticulous. I'm someone who is precision and accuracy is very important for me. So if they need someone that they can trust to deliver a certain quality of work, they can come to me. They are not looking at, oh, she's on a bill. It has nothing to do with it, because over time I have proven that this is what I am capable of. So they are not coming to me, they are not giving me work that they think, this is the only thing she can do. No, they come to me because it is my brain they are interested in, not how my body looks like. So the way you present yourself, how you do things will tell people, this person is capable or not. All right, so moving on. The next question I'm going to ask is, how do we use personal branding as a tool to change the disability narrative? I know that many times we talked about personal branding, how you are perceived, how people see you, what you put out there. But how can we use it as a tool? How can women with disabilities use personal branding to change the disability narrative? How people perceive them, how people, talk about them, what people say about them, how people see them.
So one of the ways that women and children, young girls with disabilities can actually use personal branding to show who they are is, one, by actually being who they are. And when I say being who they are, I mean, if, like Freki has said, if you are not somebody who is weak, don't put yourself out as a weak person. So what that means is that if you're a strong person, determined person, a hardworking person, you show people that you're a strong person, you're a hardworking person, and you're determined. And then you do that consistently. Consistency is what matters in personal branding. If you're consistent in what you do, people will see who you are and they will label you as such. That will be your branding skills. Another way you can do it is that you can also be you can be present at the moment. Be at the moment present and be there. Not that 1 minute you are there, the next minute you are gone. Thank you.
Okay. I like the word you use, consistency. When it's a key strategy for building a personal brand. You cannot afford to be many things in different places, and then nobody will. You don't have a brand. You're just available. Whatever is available, you must be consistent. Osaki, you want to add to that?
Okay. Yes, I want to add to that. Thank you very much. What I will say is, be the best at what you do. Like, I'm gonna use 5 of us or 4 of us as an instance now. Let's say now you want someone to be like organizer, to organize something, and it just came to your mind and you have nobody to be there. Freki can do this. Once you just call her, you know that everything is being done. You want someone that can do a good presentation. You call Tommy, see, she has the radio voice and she says it. You call someone that can check your questions or make everything align. You call her Fyong. She will go through the questions and it's done. You want someone that can give you book's idea or how to write a novel, a story, you call Beyonce and thing is done. So that be the best of who you are is a key thing that can change the narrative. And also availability. Whenever you're called upon, you are there. Because most times it's some things happen, you're like, if Affiong was there, I should have done it. So you're like the cornerstone to the pillar. So you are without you, as in, no matter how it is, once they just call your name, your own side of the story or your part will just adjust, make the things line. So you're like that cornerstone that has the final or end result of a particular product or creativity. Thank you.
All right. So be the best. Always put your best foot forward. Whatever you do, aim for excellence, because that is what will make you stand out. Frankie, do you want to add to that?
Yes, please. I think for women with disabilities, one of the things that would help you to intentionally put your brand or learn your brand or insist on your brand is knowing your rights as a person, understanding your rights as a woman. It's very difficult for somebody to insist on a negative narrative when you have known what your rights are. Now, within the disability community, we know that the first response to disability is pity. It's a natural default response. People put you as a lower person. No, if you think it interests me that not by being proud, sometimes you look at the person that is trying to put you down, you're like, what's happening here? So that natural response, you don't accept it because you know your rights. So you don't walk into a place expecting or hoping that they will just pity me and help me. Don't do things like that. Present yourself as a person that is worthy of being in that space, and then do yours. Come with an expertise. Another thing I would say is, let us, and I know that we're speaking to women with disabilities now, it's easy to fall back to excuses and then we become a nuisance. Personal branding and being a nuisance or being shrouded with excuses don't go hand in hand, because when you continue to be unreliable, people will shift away from you. And we do not want to begin to use being a woman or disability. It's a genuine excuse, but it cannot be your go-to place all the time. I said, let me mention those things. I will deal with some of these things ourselves. We can begin to present and project a positive brand that is representative of the entire disability community. Because whether we like it or not, everywhere we go, we represent 30 million plus persons with disability in Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you. Wow. You're an ambassador wherever you go. So whatever you do, make sure that you present, the best version of you. Like you said, more often than not, persons with disabilities don't feel worthy. So it has to start with discovering yourself, accepting yourself, and knowing that you deserve every good thing. Because if you don't think you deserve it, then it will show up in your attitude. It will show up in the way you present yourself, because you will go to a place and you're just waiting for people to come and help, rather than you being confident enough to walk up and demand for what you know you are entitled to. Another thing I would like to add to that is know your strengths. Focus on your strength and project it wherever you go. If you know how to speak well, when you go to a place, don't try to minimize or so that people will not think, so that people will not help you. Put what you're good at, put that forward, put your strength, focus on that and project it wherever you go, so that they know people, even if they came at you, they saw you and the first thing you want to say is pity, they want to feel is pity. By the time you open your mouth to speak and you talk to someone, interact with the person will just change their view. You are the one that will create the narrative. You want them to see you as someone who is incapable. You want them to see you as someone who cannot be relied on. That is how they will see you. But you want them to see you as someone that they can come to. Like Osaki was listing out the different things that each person, that's what happens. All right. Thank you very much, ladies. You've done amazing so far on this topic. And I hope that someone listening out there will, pick up some good, points and be able to run with it. So before we round up, finally, I'd like, we like to be practical. Let's know what are some practical steps that women and girls with disabilities can use how they can start with building their personal brand now that they know how important it is? What are some of those practical steps they can apply?
One thing I would like to say first is hardworking, being diligent is like a characteristic that as women and girls with disability, we just have to imbibe. We cannot afford to be lazy because, people often say that, what can a person with disability do? And so, if you are the type that has natural laziness, natural tendency to be laid back, to be lazy, you would be the one rotten egg that will spoil the whole egg in the basket. Because when you are out there in a place, at work, at doing a business, in activities, and then you're like that, they're looking at it like, oh, maybe that's how all persons, maybe I told you they cannot do anything. Now this is an example. So it means that we cannot afford to be laid back, to be lazy. We just have to be hardworking in whatever it is that you do. Another characteristic that I also believe that a lot of us are beginning to consider to change is that begging, that corporate kind of begging or putting yourself out there as a pauper, as a person with disability. Yeah, I know that disability comes with a lot of spending, a lot of expenses. But the truth is, many a times it's all about the immediate gratification for a lot of us. And so for you to begin to build that personal brand that people would actually come to with better opportunities, you need to be able to, decipher, you need to be able to distinguish between when you should put out, oh, what am I going to gain from this thing financially, and when you should be looking at a bigger picture. And so that way, your strength, opportunities will come to you according to your strength. And then before you know it, you're making the money that you initially wanted to make. And so I feel that those two things, when we begin to imbibe them, gradually with other characteristics, with other talents that we've got, we'll begin to see changes.
All right. Thank you, Osaki. I want everybody to weigh in on this. Osaki?
Thank you very much. Practical tips is that one step at a time. There's no point around gathered everything is at the same time to get choked. So one thing you can do, if I'm a good writer, write. If I'm eloquent to speak. But take your tasks one at a time. And also, never you forget if you fail. Failure is not, it's part of learning. So when you fail, I'm like activity and I didn't do well, I check it and say, okay, where did I go wrong? And come back to it. Failure is only bad when you refuse to move and you lie down there and say, this is where I am. But the moment you can take up your bold step and dust yourself and say, well, I didn't do this part well. Let me take a trial and see what I can do better. So I think step at a time, and don't be afraid to fail, but try and see how you can move after the failure. Look failure as a lesson or something to learn. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So practical steps for someone out there. I just want to emphasize that you can be more than a woman with disability. You can be known for more than being just a woman with disabilities. Because I'm saying this because some persons believe that they are confined to disability because they are persons with disability. So everything about them is disability, but their interests expand beyond that. Let me give an example. There was a young lady with disability. She's into communication. But because of how she had seen that every person ahead of her was within, the disability space. And then she reached out to me because, she wanted mentors in the communication sector. And I sent her persons, and none of them had a disability. And I told her that you have a skill, and it is not limited to the disability space. It's your choice to want to use it for disability advocacy or activism. But communication and being a person with disability does not limit you to that space. So I want to really express there that you are a woman with disability is not the only brand you can put out there. So how do you practicalize? Other things you can do is you can find your strength. You can focus your strength. The third thing I would like to say is this: present your brand and your image. In fact, there's some people that are image consultants. What are you putting out there for people to see, to even form an opinion about you? Present your brand. Today we have branding tools in the digital space. Social media, if you do not know, is a branding tool. Everything you put out there needs to define who you are to people. So when people go to your space, for example, people even say, don't go to some social media like maybe LinkedIn and be posting nonsense because there are professionals there and you want to be able to present your professional image in that space. So be careful of what you put out on social media. And then the last thing I would like to say is this: when you want to, you have to be consistent. People give up on what they're trying to bring forward. Be consistent, because for today we have people who are influencers, social media influencers. Why? Because they've been able to track traffic to their pages, so they are now brand ambassadors for different products and services. Well, how did they get there? A lot of consistency that brought traffic to their page. So consistency is another thing. Oh, let me add one more: expertise. Okay, so you cannot be mediocre. If you say that this is the brand that I want to represent, you must do some work. You must continue to elevate. You must continue to improve, learn, and grow in that space you have chosen. So thank you.
All right. Wow. Thank you so much. You made some key points. Beyonce, please, let's hear from you.
Be who you are. Do not hide behind when you want to be. You have to let an essence of yourself show in your personal branding, which means you have to be as honest as possible. That is one tip I have. And then make sure that you know that in your heart you can do this thing. So that's another thing. Be honest with yourself and know that you can do it. Those 2 tips will help you in creating a really strong personal branding. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Beyonce. And that brings me, to round up everything that has been said. Beyonce mentioned honesty. Tomisin had highlighted something about sincerity as the brand. And that brings me to the point I want to make. Be authentic. Be authentic. Some of us go on social media and we are trying to copy from someone here, and then mix it up to create, something. Be authentic. Be true to who you are. If you know that you're someone, that you're the kind of, content you want to put out there, the image you want to present is that of somebody who is, someone who is likable, someone who, is passionate about a particular thing. Focus on that. Don't be, distracted by what someone else is doing. Because sometimes we don't even know where we belong. We just come and, put anything out there, or we just borrow from here and then we are all over the place. Be authentic, because that is what will draw people to you. Like you talked about creating traffic, attracting traffic. People will not come if they don't know you for a particular thing. There are certain people they know that they love to tell stories, and people will always go there when they want to, listen to a particular content. And maybe there are people they know that when it comes to, tough issues, when it comes to maybe marital issues, okay, this person, let's go. This person is, is always focusing on this. So be authentic, know where you belong before you jump to go and present a particular, image. Know where you belong, know who you are. Be comfortable with yourself, get, conversant with yourself, know yourself, and then know, so that will guide you as to where or the image you should present to the world. If not, you will not, you will never have a personal brand that is worth following. Another thing is be visible. Invisibility seems to be a superpower with persons with disability. You want to be visible. We don't want people to, but they shouldn't know I'm here. We want to be invisible. Unfortunately, you cannot be invisible and at the same time, people will now know what you stand for. So if you want to be invisible, people who are comfortable with ignoring you, they don't want to even, have to be held accountable. So be visible. Put yourself out there. When we started Bold TV, I was like, hey, Frankie has come to look for my trouble. Hey, you want me to come and be talking in front of plenty people? I cannot do. But I had to tell myself, look, you keep saying you want people to know what you're capable of, and yet you don't want to put yourself there. You can't have your cake and eat your cake and have it. It won't work. So I had to make myself, and over time, I have improved. I have worked on, how to become better at being visible, because there's no how. It doesn't work that way. You need to be available so that when things are happening, when things that matter are being discussed, when you are not there, people call your name. Where it matters, they will mention your name and know that this person, they say, oh, they are looking for somebody you can, go to, talk to her. She knows what to do. She's good at it. So if you're not visible, nobody knows what you can do, and nobody will ever mention your name where it matters. So please, women, my fellow women with disabilities, we need to put ourselves out there. Create a personal brand so that more people will know about you, more people will know what you're capable of, and you will attract the right kind of people, so that this disability narrative will begin to change one person at a time. And people will not just see us based on just the disability. They will see the untapped potential, the capacity we have, and what we are capable of across this demographic. So let's do better. We can do better. We've come to the end of our program, and as usual, we always come your way every Saturday by 10:30 a.m. in the morning. So do well to join us, tune in and listen. You will definitely not go back the same way. So as you listen to us, you will pick up, some important key points that will help you and, help you navigate this journey. Go back, watch our previous videos, share the videos you watch. Please do share. Share why? Because it's not a one-man show. We need as many people as possible, not just people in the disability community, but especially those who are not disabled, and they will be better of gaining the knowledge they need. This is a great tool for advocacy. So share the videos on your social media platforms so that more people will learn, and so that we can get this message across to as many people as possible. So thank you for joining us today. Drop your comments if you have us on our Facebook page, reach out to us, send us an email, and we will definitely get back to you. So thank you, ladies. Please unmute. Thank you, ladies, for being a part of this discussion. You made some very wonderful contributions, and I appreciate your contribution to this topic. Thank you so much, Tomisin. Thank you, Preki. Thank you, Yose, and Osaki. Osaki had to leave, but thank you for stopping by to contribute. So ladies, let's say our goodbyes. We'll be back here same time next week.
Bye.
Join us. Thank you so much. See you.